Hey, what's up, everybody? This is episode 1 of the all-new DBcam here at youtube.com/the DBcam. Of course, I'm your host, Daryl Wayne Brown, and I'm glad that you joined me here today on my little online diary, so to speak. I'm going to be getting on here periodically, just sharing my thoughts on things going on in my life or going on in the world around you and me. We'll probably do a lot of talking about politics, probably some wrestling talk, and just talk about things in general. So, since I said we're going to talk some politics, let's start off today's episode of the DB Cam talking about politics. Well, it was a big weekend in Republican politics. Of course, it was the big straw poll held in Ames, Iowa, an event that I'll be honest with you, I do not understand. I don't get the Iowa straw poll. I don't see what is so special about it. It's not an election. It's not officially nominating anybody. It's non-binding. I never have understood it, and I still don't understand it to this day. But they held the straw poll in Ames, Iowa, like I said, on Saturday. And the big winner was Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann. She placed in first. Coming in a close second was Congressman Ron Paul from Texas. They were the big winners on Saturday. Michelle Bachmann was born in Iowa, so naturally she had a little bit of an advantage going into the straw poll. She spent a lot of money there, from what I understand. Ron Paul, of course, he does well in all of these straw polls. He does well in the online polls. I love Ron Paul, I got to be honest with you. I am a libertarian. A lot of people may think, well, he's a conservative, he's a Republican. I tend to vote Republican, and on issues, especially when it comes to social matters, I would say I'm a conservative. But for the most part, I've taken one of those little political quizzes, to pinpoint where you're at on the spectrum, and I'm actually a libertarian. I'm a libertarian. That's what Ron Paul is. So I like Ron Paul. I give him credit. Man, the guy has more energy than a 20-year-old, and he's 70-something. I give his supporters credit. They are very passionate about their candidate. They go out in full force and support this guy. They have the money bombs. They raise a whole lot of money for the guy on these money bomb days. I can't say enough about his supporters. Sometimes they're a little bit fringe. They're a little bit crazy, but I mean, they're dedicated. I give them credit for that. The big loser in the Iowa straw poll was the former governor of Minnesota, Tim Pawlenty. He had spent a lot of time there. He had invested a lot of money there. He'd invested a lot of staff members in Iowa, including former Governor Mike Huckabee's baby daughter, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Pawlenty and his organization had really spent a lot of time and effort and resources in Iowa, and they came up short. And the next thing you know, on Sunday morning, it was hitting all the wires. It was all over the news channels that Tim Pawlenty had dropped out of the race after his poor showing in the Iowa straw poll. Why do I think that he did so bad? Well, I think it comes down to charisma. Unfortunately, friends, I think that's the number one thing that people are looking for in politicians these days. It's not necessarily where they stand on the issues. It's their ability to project and connect with people. Are they likable enough? I think that's why Bill Clinton has been so successful in politics. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's a bright guy. Don't get me wrong. But he is the master when it comes to charisma. Mike Huckabee, another guy, former Baptist minister, radio broadcaster. He's good at speaking. He's good at working the crowd. Another master when it comes to connecting with people. I think that's the reason, a big reason rather, why Mike Huckabee was so successful in this last election season in his race when many other Democrats were not. Don't get me wrong, I think that Mike Beebe has done a good job as governor. I'll admit I voted for him as governor. I think he's done a fine job in that office. So I don't want to, dismiss his work, because I think it has been very good for the most part, from what I know. But he is a charismatic guy. He can connect with people. And I know, especially here in Arkansas, that's important. I think that's part of the reason why Barack Obama was successful in 2008. Of course, people were fed up with George W. Bush and the Republican Party as a whole. You could have run anybody as a Republican, and I don't think they would have won, honestly. I think people also wanted to be a part of history, electing the first African American president of the United States. But I think a lot of it comes back to charisma. And Tim Pawlenty just did not demonstrate that he had that. Seemed like a nice guy. I stand with him on most of his issues, from what I understand. But he just seemed kind of vanilla, just kind of boring. Um, just didn't seem to connect with people. So I think that's a big reason why he did poorly in the Iowa straw poll and why he ultimately dropped out. Of course, Saturday, my guy, the man that I'm supporting for the Republican nomination, Governor Rick Perry from the Lone Star, he formally announced in South Carolina that he is indeed running for president. I am backing Rick Perry. I think he's the only Republican at this point, unless there's somebody else that jumps in the race, that that can defeat Barack Obama. I think Rick Perry is good on the issues. I think Rick Perry does have that charisma I was talking about. He does have that it factor. He can raise money. He's from a big state. I think he has pretty good name recognition. The only thing I can see going bad in Rick Perry's favor is the fact that he's another Republican governor of Texas. And unfortunately, George W. Bush right now is still not well liked by the majority of American people, if you go by the polls at least. So that does concern me that he, again, is another Republican presidential candidate that's governor of Texas. And the other day, I told my wife this, when he was speaking at that press conference, he sounded almost just like George W. Bush. He had that, kind of Texas swagger talk. I'm from Texas. Don't mess with Texas kind of thing. That swagger. The nose and the mouth. Kind of cocking the head to the side. Kind of like Elvis kind of thing. There's my best George W. Bush, Rick Perry impression. So that's who I'm backing for, President Rick Perry. Like I said, I think he has that it factor. I think he can beat Obama in 2012. I really do, unless something changes. Unless something big changes, of course. Well, let's go from politics to talking about the other subject I said we might discuss quite frequently. I need to learn to edit this stuff. Go back and edit it. Where was I at? Oh, yeah, a subject that we're going to talk about frequently, and there's Stonewall. Stonewall, get away from that, please. I'm sorry, folks. My dog has this obsession with biting on my computer cables, and I don't want my computer to mess up. This is terrible. I'm trying to put on a good production here, and he comes in and messes it up. Bad dog. Bad dog. You want to be on camera? Come here. No. A little camera shy today. I guess he thinks he's in trouble. Wrestling. That's what we're going to talk about. Wrestling. Sunday night was the WWE pay-per-view SummerSlam coming from Los Angeles, California. I want to give a big shout out to my good friend Nick Pelham, a guy that I never spoke to back in high school, but that I talk with all the time on this little gadget called Skype. So, hey, Nick, what's up? There we go. Still getting used to where the webcam lens is at. Stonewall. Now my headphones. My 1986 headphones here, Sony. You can only find on eBay. Is there anything you don't buy? Is there anything you don't buy? SummerSlam. Where was that? Nick Pelham, big shout out to you, bud. Thanks for letting me know how I could get the pay-per-view. That's a little, here he goes again. Want to bite on computer cables. Please stop. Please. Don't bite me. Thank you, Nick, for telling me how I could watch the pay-per-view. That's between us, okay? I've gotten back into wrestling quite a bit, much to my wife's dismay, mostly due to a guy named CM Punk, who I really enjoy his work these days on Monday Night Raw. He's just amazing. Telling it like it is, kind of like I do here on the DBcam. Except he's a little bit more buff than I am. You see my muscles there? Um, the main event was CM Punk versus John Cena. I am not a John Cena fan. I know that my little nephew, 6-year-old nephew Price down in Hooks, Texas, would not like to hear Uncle Daryl say that, but I don't. I'm not a John Cena fan. Basically, CM Punk won the match. John Cena's feet were on the ropes. The special referee, Triple H, didn't see it. Awards the match to CM Punk. Afterwards, Kevin Nash, remember him from the old NWO, one of the outsiders with Scott Hall, one of my favorite wrestlers? He shows up and power bombs CM Punk and allows the Money in the Bank winner Alberto Del Rio to come down and get the pinfall and become the new WWE champion. Of course, I was not very happy with that result, being a CM Punk fan. I don't know where they're going to go with this angle. I really don't. I think they should have held off 2 to 3 months. In my opinion, WWE has kind of spoiled this angle, rushing it. They should have let CM Punk go off. And if you don't watch wrestling, you have no clue what I'm talking about here. I apologize. But they should have let him off, let him go off and be rogue and show up at WWE events unplanned, of course. Show up at things and cause trouble and shoot speeches and promos. They could have held off for 2 to 3 months and extended the lifespan of this angle, but they decided to jump the shark and end CM Punk's title reign last night. So we'll see tonight on Monday Night Raw where that is going to go. So that's really all I have to say for today. Thank you so much for joining me here on the new DB Cam. And if you can, leave me a comment. I would greatly appreciate it. Of course, you can always find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Daryl W. Brown. Facebook.com/Daryl W. Brown. You can also find me on Twitter. I am at twitter.com/Daryl W. Brown. Twitter.com/Daryl W. Brown. And as I mentioned, I am now on Skype. My handle on there is CM Punk Fan 76. CM Punk Fan 76. So I'll look for you on Facebook, Twitter, and Skype, and now here on YouTube at youtube.com/thedbcam. So I am your host, Daryl W. Brown. Thanks for watching, and I hope that each and every one of you have a very blessed day. We'll see you next time.